Hi, I'm Alex,
And I'm Abel.
and we're the founders of FlutterFlow. Welcome to our first ever conference. We're so excited that you're joining us. We have people watching from all around the world.
Yes, we are so excited to see all these comments. If you're watching live, definitely share where you're from. We already see so many people from all over the place. Excited to see everybody here. Um,
We have an exciting conference for you today featuring some amazing guests and showcasing how FlutterFlow has helped builders and companies worldwide create unique native applications. FlutterFlow is a low-code tool that allows you to build beautiful apps 10 times faster and at a fraction of the cost. Since launching at Google I/O last year, we've grown to over 250,000 builders, with over 3,000 apps deployed.
Today, we will go over what Flutter and FlutterFlow are and why it's a game changer in the app development world for both developers and companies. FlutterFlow is a new way of building apps. Instead of manually coding an entire project from scratch, FlutterFlow lets you build complex and beautiful UIs visually, taking a fraction of the time. You can also easily add common flows such as authentication and push notifications, add business logic, connect to Firebase or any APIs, and leverage several third-party integrations out of the box. The best part of FlutterFlow is that it generates clean, human-readable code that you can export for the whole application, download or export to your repository. And if there's any functionality that you need that's missing, you have unlimited possibilities with custom code.
So FlutterFlow is built on top of Flutter, Google's UI toolkit, and the #1 cross-platform framework worldwide to build apps on mobile, web, and desktop, and is used by companies such as Alibaba, BMW, eBay, and many more. If you haven't tried it yet, you can get started for free at flutterflow.io. But instead of just telling you, let's show you. Today, we're excited to announce the winners of the FlutterFlow Games Hackathon. We've had a number of amazing submissions from participants all over the world who built games in FlutterFlow in just over 2 weeks. So a huge thank you to all the folks who submitted their work. Now, let's check out some examples.
You just saw some of the submissions. We were very excited to see what people were able to build in such a short period of time. When we originally created the hackathon, we weren't sure what kind of games people would build because we didn't build FlutterFlow with games in mind originally. But we were very surprised and excited to announce who are going to be the winners today. We have two different sessions. We have the judges that voted for the top 5, and we also have community voting top 3 there. And we're going to start with 5th place. We have Jaren Williamson for building Dinner Inc. We're going to play a video of that. So this is a fun single-player game inspired by one Jaren played when he was younger. He uses custom functions to add randomness to the prices of items. This is a game where you go and purchase things at different stores. and tried, and with some constraints of trips around, round trips you could make. He uses custom functions to implement complex logic such as order fulfillment, and we were pretty impressed with this. I've definitely played it myself and enjoyed it. So congratulations.
Great. And in fourth place, we have Tuche Kosiolu, who built Hangman Wars. So this game is quite a lot of fun, and it turns Hangman into a competitive real-time game. So Abel and I actually played this the other day, and we weren't that good at first, but you could say we got the hang of it. Sorry. It's actually quite a fun game.
Yeah, if you're curious about the result, Alex won. All right, in third place, we have Muhammad Kafid Bakhtir for building the Dota 2 quiz. This is a quiz app for that has different modes for Dota 2 fans. This app uses Firebase. It uses API integrations. I believe it uses 2 different API providers that load data about different characters and the information about them, the different teams. It has great animations as well, and overall great quiz game for Dota 2 lovers. So congrats to Muhammad. All right, okay, I think Alex is having some technical difficulties. I'll announce the second place winner. We have Darwin Dalma for building FlutterFlow. So FlutterFlow is the classic battleship game built in FlutterFlow. The design and overall quality of this game was very impressive for us. This game uses grid views to populate the game state, and Darwin also used custom functions for the logic in terms of like where you can and cannot place different ships. I guess you could say this one was a hit. All right, and finally, in first place, we have Ajit Radnus for building the Alphabet game. So this game was incredible. It was hard for us when I first saw it, I thought, okay, how much of this is custom functions and custom code? Because there's animations, as you can see in the screen, and a little bit of different fruits falling down, and you're supposed to avoid some things and collect different items. And it was so much fun, and it was built almost entirely in FlutterFlow. I think you used a couple of custom functions, and so it was very clever use of animations and various logic to make it happen. So congrats. But that's not all. We also have the community voting section. So we'll announce the 3 winners from that.
Yeah. So sorry for my brief absence. In third place, for the community voting, we have Sunghyun Bae for building Plant Game, which I liked a lot, and it definitely grew on me.
And then in second place, we have Giannis Rongiris for building the Seer Kalchas.
And lastly, in first place, we have Pankaj Sharma for building Snakes and Ladders Trivia, which got the most votes and really climbed its way up to the top. And that's all. Yeah, thank you all so much for all of your wonderful submissions. Some of them may be featured in future videos and on our website so that we can continue to showcase the power of FlutterFlow. But that's not all. Everyone who had a qualifying submission we'll be getting a FlutterFlow swag box and some Flutter swag as well.
We'd like to say thank you to the Flutter team who sponsored the hackathon by providing swag for the contestants. And for the rest of the session, we'll share a little bit about our journey so far, and we'll open it up for questions from the audience. When we decided to start working on FlutterFlow, the motivation was really to build something that we could have used for the last startup we'd worked on. We were building an app, and it felt like getting from idea to functional app took months. So even with amazing productivity improvements you get with Flutter.
And yeah, that's when we decided to apply to Y Combinator, a startup accelerator, and also put our idea out there to see if other people were interested. We were surprised at the flood of interest from Flutter developers and when we initially announced it, and we got to work immediately building our MVP. Our early users were very supportive and gave us a ton of really amazing feedback, which is still the case today. And after a lot of hard work and iteration, we were lucky enough to have our public launch at Google I/O's Flutter keynote just about 8 months later. Since then, we've come a long way. The most exciting part of building FlutterFlow is the privilege of supporting and witnessing our users solve real-world problems. They are entrepreneurs building their companies, freelancers and agencies building for their clients, and developers at large companies building apps that solve real business needs.
The one constant thing we've had since basically the early days has been the love, the support, the feedback we've been receiving from our users and community. As you can see in the chat here, it's very positive, such a supportive community, and we appreciate you as always. Thank you so much. And now we're going to open it up for questions. Okay. All right, what's it like working with Y Combinator? Okay, so I can start with this one. So we were in the W21 batch for Y Combinator. So the way Y Combinator works, a lot of startups, I believe 10 to 15,000 startups apply every year to be a part of one of the 2 batches that they have. So the process is it's a 3-month boot camp, essentially, where we go through different learning material. There's a community and resources in there, and there was some target of raising a seed round by the end of it. It was an amazing experience. We learned a lot. We made lifelong friends from that very intense 3-month session and building up to the end. And of course, it's a great network to be a part of. And so it's still something that we benefit from being members of afterwards. Is there anything you want to add, Alex?
That's about right. Abel, you want to take this one?
Sure. Yeah. So I believe there's on the experts page, there's an apply button which takes you to Typeform, and you submit projects that you've worked on, and so we basically look at how long have you used FlutterFlow, how much expertise have you developed, and then we kind of review those every so often and accept new members to the experts program, and we'll post the
I
think
from what I saw from the snakes and ladders, I think you'll have a good shot, Pankaj.
Someone said, whatever you do, don't shut it down. It's not a question, but rest assured we won't. Are there any plans to implement ROI or Google Cloud Functions? I see that question. So maybe Alex, do you want to answer this?
Yeah. So we have spoken closely with the ROI team. They're great folks. It's a wonderful company, and loosely it'd be fantastic to do something with them. They provide a really nice service that allows you to have like a kind of beautiful seamless CMS with your Firebase and Firestore and more data. So it would be quite a nice collaboration between us. And there are also we already do leverage Google Cloud Functions quite a bit within FlutterFlow for things such as Stripe, such as deployment for push notifications and more. APIs as well is a recent thing that we've added too. And so extending that to allow folks to deploy any kind of Google Cloud function is something that it would be a very natural next step for us.
What's a common misconception people have about FlutterFlow? So maybe I think maybe probably slightly earlier days, we kind of saw some. Yeah, probably the biggest misconception I've seen was people saying, "Wait, this is almost like taking jobs away," or in a sense. Some comment. There were a few comments kind of like with that sentiment, and we thought we were actually we were doing this to make FlutterFlow more accessible, Flutter and application development in general more accessible and more broadly available. So that's probably, I'd say, the biggest misconception is I believe it's bringing more people to Flutter, and in fact that's what some of the comments I think we're also saying here was that they're coming to Flutter. FlutterFlow definitely made it easier to get started with Flutter. So that's probably the biggest misconception for me. Cool. We'll take a few more, maybe 2 more, and then we'll take a short break before the next session. Okay, so there's a question: how are you able to generate native apps versus hybrid apps? So there's no secret. It is Flutter that we're building on top of that allows us to do this. So Flutter is it's a Google-based SDK that allows you to. It's open source, available for free, and it is open source. But it allows you to build applications with from one code base that can run natively on desktop and mobile. So on Android, on iOS, Windows, Mac OS, Linux, but also compiles to JavaScript that can run on web. So it's a very, very powerful framework, and that's kind of why we decided to build FlutterFlow. And I think we'll talk more about that in the next session, where we have some incredible guests specifically about that. Okay. Next question.
Yeah. I think we had one about the next big thing, or something of that nature, from Sergey. Yeah. So I mean, there's so many fun things to build, so many like interesting things we could add to FlutterFlow. Obviously, there's tons of third-party integrations that we can add that will be fantastic. One of the things we're really looking forward to as well is adding in much more support for kind of like custom code and custom development right now. One of the features people like the most is this ability to add custom functions, custom widgets, and actions. But in some respect, it's still a little bit limited compared to like what we want to be able to do. We want you to be able to seamlessly be able to add any kind of code that you want without the restrictions or limitations that we've placed right now. And so kind of being able to freely edit, not like the page code, but freely edit all of your custom code is going to be a huge win, I think, for FlutterFlow users. I don't know if you had any other.
No,
Exactly.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry we couldn't get to every question, but thanks for asking them. And we're just going to take a short break before the next session.